you got to get into the coal mine a little bit. You got to get your hands dirty.
As CISOs, we're pretty competitive. It's us against them, and they're not the ones that are going to win in this game.
We're dealing with a few of those a month because we've got all these portfolio companies, so we get to see what's going on at any given time. Those false negatives are the most terrifying things, the ones that slip through the environment.
How can CISOs actually verify that their investments are working, especially during an incident?
Oh, my meatball bowl.
There's got to be another bowl.
I think we're low on bowls there. I'm just making them in my hands. So just hold your hands up and make meatballs in them.
I was the threat actor there. I took away your capability roles when you weren't looking. If you've got that layer beneath the magic pan, and you could go back in time and you can pull out that extra bit of milk and get it right, fix it, mediate, get that thing back going again. Like when you think about the CrowdStrike event that happened, one little bad file.
The ransomware taught us that lesson. Everyone's going to get ransomware. Your ability to recover in a timely and fast manner is way more important than your ability to prevent it.
Hi, welcome to the next episode of Cooking with CISOs. I'm your host, Sue Bergamo. I've been a global CIO and CISO for the majority of my career. Today, I'm thrilled to be in the kitchen with two of my peers and do some cooking while we're talking about cybersecurity. John, Adam, would you like to introduce yourselves and your company?
Sure. Hi, I'm John from Absolute Security. I'm our Chief Product Officer and just thrilled to be here and have the conversation, make some interesting food, and we'll see how we connect that to some of the trends that we're seeing in the cyber resilience and the security area. So really excited to be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Adam Glick. I'm the CISO for PSG Equity. Internally at PSG, I'm responsible for IT and InfoSec. Additionally, I'm an operating partner in the portfolio. Prior to that, I've been the CISO at Simply Safe, Rocket, a few other gigs. I've been doing this for a little bit now. Excited to be here.
All right, you guys ready to cook?
Absolutely ready.
Do you want to, Adam, describe the meal that you're going to be making?
Yeah, of course. Today we're going to make spaghetti and meatballs, a classic American Italian dish. Growing up, my mother is 100% Italian, so one of the first things I learned shortly after walking was the ability to make a pot of sauce. So excited to share that with everyone today.
John, how about you?
All right, so I'm doing a quiche. As a lot of parents know, this is one of the few foods that like almost every kid will actually eat. So that was always a big part of growing up in the household, and one that they can also help to make as they got older. So this has some special meaning for me there. So, and it's kind of hard to screw up. So I felt that was pretty important, but we'll see. Anything can happen in the kitchen. We'll see how that goes.
I should tell you, did you know that depending on how long you whip, you could screw up?
All right. Well, I think we'll connect that to some of the themes of the show here today.
All right. You guys ready to get started?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Let's get cooking.
Downtime is no longer a side effect of cyber incidents. It is the outcome attackers are aiming for. When systems are disrupted or wiped, security controls often fail with them. Visibility disappears, access breaks, operations slow or stop. Security has focused heavily on prevention, but prevention alone does not hold up under failure. When software is compromised, control is lost. Resilience, below the operating system, is the missing link in cybersecurity. It's the operational capability that preserves control, even when disruption happens. This is where Absolute is fundamentally different. Absolute is embedded in the firmware of hundreds of millions of devices worldwide. Firmware persistence is built in, not bolted on. Even if a device is re-imaged, reset, or tampered with, Absolute remains present and trusted below the OS. That persistence becomes the foundation for resilience. With Absolute, organizations maintain continuous visibility, enforce trusted access, and automatically restore critical security controls across endpoints and users. This is not about reacting faster after an incident. It is about never losing control in the first place. Absolute brings together endpoint resilience, secure access, and recovery to help organizations limit downtime and protect business continuity. Cyber resilience is no longer optional. It is essential. Absolute. Cyber resilience that stops downtime.
If something really bad happens, like the CrowdStrike boot screen of death, and all those things become impaired or compromised, we can come back and restore that machine.
me about PSG and what you're seeing as trends and cyber issues.
Yep. So PSG is a private equity firm. We invest in growth stage software organizations, so technology first orgs. We've got about 140 portfolio companies, where half of my job is that operating partner working with the portfolio. So it's my job to help the portfolio companies ensure they are growing, maturing, becoming more resilient, investing in modern security approaches, doing the things they need to do to protect their organization. Most orgs might deal with 1 or 2 incidents a year. We're dealing with a few of those a month, so we get to see what's going on at any given time.
When you're doing things at such a grand scale, not every single company has the same tech going on. So how are you faring in that world?
Yeah, it's a lot of different stacks. One of the things we learned early on was know thyself, right? It's really important for us to be able to understand that the different stacks so that we can provide the assistance and the help they need. No two orgs are identical. So with that, how can we create universal things that are applicable to most organizations out there?
And can you create any standards?
Yeah, we created our own internal standard based on NIST, CSF, based on internal incidents that we were seeing. From that, we can prioritize them based on controls. So the ones we think are most important, the ones we're going to put the most effort into, the ones that are maybe less important, a little bit less effort there from a priority standpoint.
So speaking of standards, John, I'd like to ask you about your company, Absolute Security, and how you're helping organizations standardize on cybersecurity.
We have a bit of technology that's embedded in 600 million PCs at the firmware layer. And what that allows us to do is create a framework for resilience. On the next reboot, that firmware component will check and make sure that our agent's back. Our agent can then check and make sure that all the other security controls are in place. We're embedded in the hardware. And from that position, we can make sure that all the elements of your software and security stack are always deployed, operational, running, compliant. And then if something really bad happens, like a CrowdStrike boot screen of death or a ransomware attack, and all those things become impaired or compromised or crashing, from that firmware position, we can come back and restore that machine by either performing a surgical appearance or a complete rebuild, and do that remotely at scale. So it's pretty cool set of capabilities deployed by tens of thousands of customers across millions and millions of endpoints.
I love the term self-healing. I thought that was terrific.
Yeah.
Went to a little research. Let me give you a spin.
Right tool for the job. My dad always said, work smart, not hard, and find the tool for the job. So yes. You might want to think about just turning that on.
One of the biggest pain points that CISOs have is the user that doesn't turn on very often.
Yeah, one of the big problems our customers do have is dark devices. And so one of the cool things that's starting to get embedded into that hardware layer is the ability to actually use cellular networks and out-of-band networks, so you can actually still send a signal to that device and have it wake up, have it be located, perform different actions. So even if something breaks at operating system application, you can still perform these sort of management recovery actions.
Another issue that we have is people that travel to locations that we're not supposed to be traveling to and not telling us. Can your software product also identify those?
Yeah, actually this whole origin story for the company is really doing this kind of track and trace or LoJack for laptops. It really emerged first in the education sector, where if you think back in the 90s and what a laptop cost back then, now you're handing these things to teenagers and 10-year-olds. That's a pretty expensive asset to put in the hands of the kids. And so we've evolved from that education use case where being able to do that location, making sure that that device isn't given to somebody else to do the work. So being able to ground that location in the firmware in an uncamperable, known and trusted way becomes really important in those kinds of use cases.
That is pretty important. So Adam, with 140 companies under your portfolio, how do you keep track of identifying and detecting threats?
When we think about guardrails, right, we don't think about applying hard controls to the companies. We think about empowering them to be successful. So coordinating with them, coaching them, helping them establish the means and processes they need to identify the threats. They then go deploy the tools, make the things happen, do that type of work.
I'd love to talk about the customer for a minute and how the product works, how the platform works.
So there's a really simple procedure that our customer does to essentially run a tiny little installer. And from there, they can start to pick and choose which of our overall capability sets they want to enable. Everything from that basic track and trace geolocation, to self-healing, to remote repair and recovery, patching and remediation. And one of the things we're really excited about is something we call Rehydrate Ready. And one of the things we've seen over the years is that we have customers who have an event, and then they contact us and say, oh, we know your stuff is in there. Can you help us now? Sometimes we can, but a lot of cases we can't because we just weren't activated. We're putting out an offer now that basically any company can go and make their endpoint rehydrate ready, prepare in advance, no upfront costs, just get the thing provisioned out. And I would say to someone like Adam across from portfolio companies, you might want to think about just turning that on. Being able to do that increasingly at machine speed is super important because we know the threat actors are trying to compromise these tools at machine speed.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is AI. How has AI changed your platform and your world?
It's interesting. We're getting great use out of it just as an internal tool for productivity, increasing levels of automation, and then within the products itself, starting to leverage autonomous endpoint management. We have this OS agent. It's responsible for doing a lot of things in the realm of self-healing. If you hit a wall on something like that, could you have a local agent assess the environment and then make a novel adaptation to be able to complete that repair and self-healing procedure? You can say, actually, here's what we did to automatically fix that. And being able to do that increasingly at machine speed is super important because we know the threat actors are trying to compromise these tools at machine speed. So if you can't keep things working at machine speed and leverage the tool for good, you're going to find yourself in a bad spot.
Can you talk about any future roadmap items without giving away trade secrets? Maybe the next release?
We actually have a set of products for both endpoint management, security, SSC, and secure network. We're doing a lot of work there to bring those products together and unify them so that our customers who are using both parts of that platform, a single console, agentic workflows between them. That's an area of a lot of investment right now because what we hear all the time, it's great if you can bring me more things, but I really don't want more consoles. I really don't want no more management planes. I don't want
Another endpoint agent.
Exactly.
Adam, I'm Italian. My grandmothers, my grandparents, my mother, all immigrated from Italy. You're making Sunday gravy. Tell me about your gravy.
All we've got so far is sweating some onions down, put some garlic in, San Marzano tomatoes peeled, a little bit of red cooking wine in there right now. And then we'll get some crushed red pepper, a little pepper, some basil.
And then I've got to ask you, you've got a little secret recipe in there.
Don't tell my mom. I hope she's not watching. But I put a little bit of cinnamon in. Just a little cinnamon and then a little bit of sugar to kind of break the acidity. But when we say a little bit, I mean literally just a tiny bit. A little goes a long way when we're talking about cinnamon here. But crushed red pepper's a must. Gotta have that.
John, how you doing over there?
I'm doing pretty good. I think I've got my two ingredients that sort of need to be pre-cooked. So I've got the onions we're going to put in there. We got the bacon. That's the surefire way to get everybody to eat anything, including meat, to be honest. I think we're good to go there and probably going to start putting some eggs and other things together in a bowl down there.
Smells good in here.
Yeah, I was the threat actor there. I took away your capability roles when you weren't looking.
How can CISOs actually verify that their investments are working, especially during an incident?
Sometimes the incident itself will impair all the tools and controls that they're actually expecting to be used in that moment. So it's kind of a catch-22, but sometimes the bad actors are explicitly taking out those traditional tools. So with this capability where we're leveraging that firmware, we're in the hardware, we can put that machine in a ready and recoverable state. So even if the operating system is not functional, even if your traditional management tools are not there, not deployed, that's okay. We can jump in, pre-boot, perform a remediation, bring the operating system back, bring our agent back, bring those tools back.
That's true. Adam, does that question resonate with you as well?
Yeah, those false negatives are the most terrifying things, right? The ones that slip through the environment. At the end of the day, if you have an incident, it could be because a control failed, and you'll find out real quickly at that time. Oh, my meatball bowl.
There's got to be another bullet.
I think they low on bowls there. I'm just making them with my hands. So just hold your hands up and make meatballs in them.
Yeah, I was the threat actor there. I took away your capability roles when you weren't looking.
At the end of the day, when you're really looking at these false negatives and issues that are happening with incidents, where's GRC in the whole thing?
GRC is an interesting discipline. It's one that is really effective at large organizations, and small organizations struggle to apply it because it adds a level of bureaucracy. For me, it's about finding that balance, right? We're going to work with them to find that right level of governance where it's not an overburdening on them, but it's applying the guidance and the structure to help them continually identify the most important risks.
Have you found that many customers of those portfolio companies are looking for the certifications that GRC brings?
But yeah, we've seen a lot of push from like a go-to-market strategy on certs right now. SOC 2s, having them enables your sales team to sell the product a little bit easier, maybe makes diligence a little bit easier. I think the more you can use it from a go-to-market strategy, the better you're going to be and the more success you're going to find there.
I agree with you that GRC is a go-to-market strategy. I think that a lot of CISOs miss that.
We're not going to push like a SOC 2 on a company that doesn't need to have a SOC 2. We're not going to push an ISO certification for a company that doesn't need to sell to companies that care about that ISO certification. So it's finding the right cert for your organization that's helping you be more secure internally.
John, I have to ask you the same questions. Do you want to talk about your process for your company?
Yes, we've really built good processes around that. If there's a process behind it for how you do documentation, how you do testing, how you do monitoring, if you have that all very regimented, you can adapt pretty quickly to the requirements of that particular one. It just forces you to have process.
And it's easier to have governance when you have process.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got that layer beneath the magic pan, and you could go back in time, because that's kind of like when you think about the CrowdStrike event that happened, there's this one little bad file. Adam was over there, he's like, John, put the milk in, put a little bit more.
You did a great job.
But imagine if I had put too much in. And now this thing is just in a bad state. It's not going to cook right. If you've got that layer beneath the magic pan, and you could go back in time and you can pull out that extra bit of milk and get it right, fix it, remediate, get that thing back going again. When you think about the CrowdStrike event that happened, there's this one little bad file.
Yep.
And if you could have got in there and just got that little thing out, whatever corrections you need to be able to do, but be ready. You have to be ready when that hits.
I think that's the message that you want to send. Be ready. And that's what CISOs do best.
Yeah, and the other aspect of that is kind of scale. So here we're making like one quiche. Imagine if I wrecked that thing. Wouldn't be that big a deal for me to go back and try to quickly remake another one. But imagine you're an organization, tens of thousands of employees, hundreds of thousands of employees, and every one of those pieces out there needs to be fixed and needs to be working. You can't go out there to every single one of those pieces and get it right. That's the other aspect of being able to deal with an incident that is an at-scale incident.
Are you selling into the CIO or the CISO orgs?
That is a great question. So traditionally, we would have been squarely asset management sort of realm. And then when we start to add the self-healing part, then that's kind of this IT operations. We start to go into the patch and vulnerability remediation side of things, or the SSE side of things starts to become more of a security, CISO conversation. We're now the person that's responsible to our board for our resilience strategy and its execution. And that's starting to become part of that responsibility. That's changing how they're working with IT and these other stakeholders because they realize, well, I can't do that from the SOC on its own. These things actually have to come together.
Yeah, we definitely see, the CISO orgs owning the resiliency of an organization. The org runs on technology, and who better to support the resilience and recovery capabilities than that technology organization? Even in my peers, we're seeing a lot more of the CISOs owning that IT structure now.
Yeah, in our own organization, that's how we're organized.
You're still focused on the same thing, right? You're focused on securing the organization. You're focused on user experience, making sure that the users are happy and they're doing things. You're focusing on securing it. There's nothing novel or unique to IT that security hasn't either been struggling with or operating in for the longest time.
Who should the CISO report to? The CIO, the CTO, the CEO?
I think people get caught up on the reporting structure a lot, but unless you have a boss that's supporting you, enabling you to be successful, doing all those right things, I would not tell people to concern themselves with reporting structure. Get a good boss, someone's going to help you out, someone's going to be there for you. Way more important than the C before their name and where they report to and that type of stuff. We're continually building that 10-foot fence. They build 11-foot ladder. We build a 12-foot fence. We're constantly trying to just stay a little bit ahead of them.
So, Adam, everyone wants to be a CISO. I understand that you're an adjunct professor. How have your experiences been with the students?
I think what we find from the students a lot is this kind of naivety around getting into cyber and what their job's going to look like and not fully understanding the trajectory to get there. The question I get a lot is like, how do I get my first job? You kind of got to get into the coal mine a little bit. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to work your way up. I think the other one is the business aspect of the job. I think to be successful in the modern organizations, you've got to understand the business. How does the business make money? What are the most important things of the business?
So, if I can sort of paraphrase it, we're not sitting behind a console with a remote fighting bad guys.
No, it's just like the movie Hackers.
This is serious business. You have to understand the business, you have to understand the threat landscapes, and you have to understand how to defend against an adversary.
Absolutely.
And as CISOs, we're pretty competitive. It's us against them, and they're not the ones that are going to win in this game.
You have to be competitive. The analogy I use a lot is like the fence and the ladder, right? We're continually building that 10-foot fence. They build a 11-foot ladder. We build a 12-foot fence. Like, we're constantly trying to just stay a little bit ahead of them, be annoying enough that they go to the next guy and they leave you alone.
One of the things we are seeing is folks think about the recovery side of it too, because there is an aspect of, if I could actually recover well enough, maybe I don't need the 13, then the 15, then the 17, and the 19-foot wall, because how sustainable is that?
Yeah, I think the ransomware taught us that lesson, which was everyone's going to get ransomware. Like, your ability to recover in a timely and fast manner is way more important than your ability to prevent it.
All right, the quiche and the meatballs are out of the oven. It's been about 35 minutes. We are ready to plate. It smells amazing in here. I'm starving. Okay, so John, you're going to start.
All right.
That looks great. Look at the steam coming out of that. Perfect consistency. You did not make souffle, you made quiche. That looks terrific. There you go. Perfect consistency.
This is called spaghetti. Meatball on top. Gonna do the sauce too.
Someone would be proud.
You gotta finish it. Gotta finish it.
Have a great cheese. Gentlemen, what do you think?
We're going to find out. Nice. I gotta get some of my meatball here. That's the part that I was really wanting.
That's the part that is a good part of spaghetti and meatballs. What do you think, Adam?
You nailed it, the meatballs.
And there you have it. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Cooking with CISOs.